throughout his lengthy, or rather very lengthy, or rather very, very lengthy, or rather very, very, very lengthy wrestling career, Jeff Jarrett has broken roughly 6,000 guitars over the heads of many, many opponents, whether they were past their prime like the Fabulous Moolah and Mae Young, or whether it was China, or whether he just decided to do that to anybody. It didn't matter who you were, animal, vegetable, mineral, he was going to find a way to hit you in the head with a goddamn guitar. Whether it had powder in it, boy, Tony Khan certainly knows a lot about powder, but more on him here in a bit. Whether you were in WWE, WCW, World Wrestling All-Stars, God, that was a failed touring brand, wasn't it? It seemed like a nice idea at first, but then we go to NWA, TNA/Impact Wrestling, 4 sides, 6 sides, and reverse battle royals and all that stuff. Jeff Jarrett was hitting people in the head with guitars, and then has been doing it in Mexico, and he's been doing it in various other countries. If you have your feet on the ground on some landmass on this earth, Jeff Jarrett is going to find a way to hit you in the goddamn head with a guitar, because that's just what Jeff Jarrett does. And he is a 2-time Hall of Famer, a multi-time world champion, a multi-time intercontinental champion. The man certainly has a lot of accolades under his belt, or his various belts. And the man certainly has a pretty good body of work. He's had some pretty damn good matches. In the 90s and the 2000s and stuff like that, sure, you could argue his main event runs did more harm than good eventually, but nevertheless, he has a lot of accolades. But one accolade that absolutely just goes above them all took place on November 2nd, 2022 in Baltimore, Maryland, because give or take some of these guitar shots, it's really hard to keep track of all of them. Let's just say 6,000 guitar shots. Let's just have a nice round number. Well, he managed to crack Darby Allin with guitar shot number 6,001. And that is certainly something that nobody will be able to achieve or want to achieve in wrestling. But what do these 6,001 guitar shots have in common? Well, as Mike Graham said on the Rise and Fall of WCW documentary, he must have broken 6,000 guitars and never drew a dime. Tony Khan needs to stop looking into the past. There's nothing wrong with embracing the past, but goddamn, let's get Jeff Jarrett at this point. Let's get him to crack a guitar, because it worked out so well in the dying days of WCW. Oh, right. More on that in a bit. I'm John Renton with my review of AEW Dynamite from Baltimore, Maryland. Let me know your thoughts on this show in the comments, please. You probably can figure out from that very, very lengthy intro how I felt about it. There were a few good things, but this was a mess. This was a real mess. I am a little bit terrified of what the Dynamite's going to be like when I go to it on January 4th. I do want to say right now I will be going to that, barring any unforeseen act of nature or whatever. But I'm not going to be going to Rampage and Battle of the Belts 5 or whatever the hell the number is, because that's going to be taking place in Portland. And if you don't know anything about geography, I am not that far away from Seattle, but I am not driving to Portland. There is you could not pay me to drive to Portland. That's at least 4 hours, even with how I drive. Nevertheless, this show, Excalibur, Taz, Schiavone on commentary, there were a couple decent moments, but this was a mess. Also, I want to say the fans that were there were pretty loud at times, but goddamn, the way they shot that, you could see the upper deck did not have a lot of fans. It wasn't well lit, and I don't know how many people can fit in that arena. I don't know exactly what the capacity is. I guarantee you they didn't sell out, and I know WWE has problems selling out. Various people have problems selling out. Remember when Baltimore got really great shows, great wrestling shows, good wrestling shows, decent wrestling shows that sort of made sense? Jim Herd's shows that were a mess, have stuff like the Ding Dong and the Black Scorpion and all that, made more sense than some of the stuff that Tony Khan's been booking lately. And I feel bad for the talent. And again, there were moments that were okay on this, and then they would just snap away. Darby gets a big pop. Of course he's going to get a big pop, because he's weird, and he lays his shit in, and people are going to like that. He has taped up ribs because of that garage door thing where Lethal put the garage door on him and then did the figure 4 on him, because that's going to make somebody look really, hey, we're going to damage your ribs with this door and then we're going to put a figure 4 on you, and it's just bad. Darby versus Lethal, jumpstart, and they do a whole bunch of stuff, and then suddenly Dutt and Giant Silva Jr. show up. There's a figure four while Darby's legs are under the barricade. Darby gets his knee targeted. After getting a German on the apron, because Darby is bound determined to not live past 35 at this rate. And Darby fights back, gets a rear naked choke. This wasn't bad. It's just hard to be invested because we've seen about all Darby can do. And Darby's good in the ring. I've seen him in multiple indie shows, but it's just at this point, I almost think that Darby needs to maybe ease back for a bit and then come back refreshed. He'll probably get a big pop in Seattle since he is from Seattle, Washington. But then Darby dives and bounces off a Giant Silva Jr. who just stands there. Oh. I'm sure he's nice, but please stop featuring idiots that don't belong in wrestling. And they're both kicked out. And then someone dressed as Sting hits Darby with a bat. Lethal injection 1, 2, 3. Who's under the mask and the coat? It's Cole Carter. Remember that guy? Remember the guy that got fired from WWE? He was part of Tony D's crew. And then he's part of the factory, and now he's part of this. And we just need more factions with more random people that nobody cares about. It really is like Russo is booking this shit. But it's suddenly, we hear the music, it's Sting! No, it's not Sting. You know who it is? It's Jeff Jarrett. I just talked about that. Look, I will not blame Jeff Jarrett one bit for continuously getting big payouts. He got a big payout for being part of Ric Flair's last match, which probably won't be his last match. He was in WWE for a bit. He got a Hall of Fame induction. Bless the guy for continuing to try and do some great stuff. You know what, though? Jeff Jarrett has never been a main event guy. He's a good worker, perhaps even a very good worker. But his main event runs were company crushing. Go back and watch his stuff as WCW champion. The few times that he had it. It was terrible. So, you just got a lesson from the last Outlaw. Great. Now he's trying to either be Ron Bass or he's trying to be like Dustin Rhodes when Dustin Rhodes was the American Nightmare, the original American Nightmare. Sting is his biggest weakness. He calls out everyone, including the fans. To be fair, he's not wrong about the diehards. Then his family's history from Christine Jarrett to his dad to him. And then he says, choke on that, slap nuts. Oh boy. Tony Khan needs to be saved from himself. There's nothing wrong with relying on the past a little bit, but Jeff Jarrett backstage doing some stuff, cool. He could pass on a lot of knowledge. Jeff Jarrett as an on-screen character getting any kind of offense in on young talents that could actually benefit from, competent booking. No, that's not a good idea. If this was 2012, sure, it would also be a bit weird because he would be beating up a smaller Darby. But you get my point. Now it doesn't mean anything. Talents like Jeff Jarrett shouldn't be there. At least on camera. Moxley talks about Lee Moriarty. Moxley, that was terrible. That he will lose because he just doesn't have that killer instinct. And more Elite deletion. They will be back by Full Gear. If they aren't back by Full Gear, I'll be amazed. They would not be showing this if they were gone from the company. Wild thing, you make Baltimore sing. Moxley versus Moriarty. It's Moxley. AEW World Title Eliminator match. Ethan Page joins commentary. Great. I get to hear more stuff from the firm, this group that I don't care about. There are a lot of groups I don't care about in wrestling, from New Japan to AEW to WWE. There's nothing wrong with putting people in a faction. You just have to make the faction good. You have to make it not shit. It was well wrestled. It was what it was. Lee kept focusing on the arm, kept trying to go for it. Go for a crossface. He did get a crossface a couple times. And then the armbar wins it for Moxley. Okay. And then suddenly, Ethan attacks Moxley because Ethan's in the World Title Eliminator tournament. And then Renee is just doing a sit-down with Saraya. Great, just what I want to hear. This Saraya, defender of Abusiverse, she's here. Until she apologizes for, defending abusers, she could piss the fuck off in her slinky neck and, be confined to a goddamn traction for all I care. So anyway, be still my beating apathy. She wants to talk about her condition when Britt Baker is face-to-face with her. Another doctor. Oh boy. So Shivani's there with Regal. Talks about MJF and Moxley, and MJF, how are you going to feel when you get face-to-face with a real demon in Jon Moxley? Max Caster does a rap. It was what it was. He did say that he's going to beat Swerve's ass and make him pay like Elon Musk. That's good. Let's just say right now, really quickly, that if you don't see me on Twitter after a little bit, if Twitter goes tits up, keep finding my opinions on here. My channel ain't going to go anywhere. In fact, I may just channel any of my frustrations I usually put on Twitter into this format. It's Billy's birthday. The crowd is eating this up. They had foam fingers. Billy's hands were broken because Swerve did an attack on him and broke his fingers. That is not what the thumbnail looked like. You should have picked a different thumbnail. But this was good. The crowd is eating it up. Oh, now Daddy can't scissor. The crowd's saying, oh, scissor me, Daddy. They're just going nuts with it. Those foam scissor fingers are going to sell like crazy. I guarantee there's going to be a lot of those in Seattle. There's going to be a lot of those for a number of months. People love this. It's goofy, but it works. They did refer to a bunch of his stuff being a two-time winner of Tag Team of the Year, but then referred to a thing from 2006, a Reverse Battle Royal. I actually think that he was when they said worst segment, was probably referring to the VKM, the Voodoo Kin Mafia. Oh boy, those were really, really goddamn bad. But then again, they have admitted that they weren't in the best shape, mentally or physically. The Reverse Battle Royal, by the way, bad idea. Fire Russo. World's greatest daddy trophy, daddy ass, and we have something where, hey, we want to adopt you as our dad. It's a certificate of adoption. There was this one other funny moment where I was going to invite a whole bunch of your friends, but they were upset because you weren't at the other reunion. Oh, kind of funny. And he gets to sign that, so he gets to be their dad. They adopt him as their dad. Because it's funny. And then the Guns show up. And then William Ass Morrissey shows up. Speaking of idiots. And then there you go. FTR shows up. And the heels powder. That is all we get to see from FTR. The best tag team in the world. Fight me on that if you want. And that's it. They're going to be part of an 8-man tag, though, with the Acclaimed against Swerve and Lee and the Guns. And also, it seems like they might be hinting FTR might want the tag team championships. Well, yeah, they should want the tag team championships. I may watch them take on Great O'Khan and Jeff Cobb at Battle Autumn on November 5th, but honestly, New Japan at this point is going to have to show me a whole lot of stuff to get me to tune in. More on New Japan here in a bit. Britt and Jamie. Hey, Jamie Hater, my good God, Jamie Hater. Jamie wants to wrestle, so does Britt. I want Jamie to wrestle too. I also want Britt to actually try to wrestle and not sell like a goddamn dead gazelle. Let's hear it for the Judas. Hager looks ridiculous. This is a running theme in his life. Ian Riccaboni joins commentary. Hey, Colt Boom Boom Cabana is back. So that pretty much cements CM Punk. CM Punk isn't coming back. So we have CM Punk, who I'm not saying is the most amenable guy and obviously the easiest to deal with, but we have him, or we get a Colt Cabana, who doesn't mean anything and hasn't meant anything for a while, and this is Jericho versus Colt Cabana, and there are people that, if you like Colt Cabana, if you like Jericho, you might have liked this match. I don't need to see Chris Jericho, who referred to CM Punk, by the way, as a cancer, but still says if you can't respect Chris Benoit, that you're a piece of shit. Check out my Rampage review if you want to hear the full thoughts on that, but Chris Jericho can go straight to hell, and his kids can be ripped from his arms, and honestly, the kids would be better off somewhere else. I didn't care. I didn't care about this. Some of the crowd cared. Others were sitting on their goddamn hands. I don't know if they sweetened the crowd noise or if the vocal fans were just loud enough that it made up for the fact some fans were just like, okay, cool, Colt Cabana, great. He's still here? Why? And then Taz says Colt has no friends. Hager interferes, stops the Superman pin. Worst codebreaker ever, 1, 2, 3. This was embarrassing. And Hager has a cramp at one point. Oh God, Hager has a cramp. Jeez, dear God. Maybe he'll get a cramp in Bellator, and then maybe if he gets beat up in Bellator, maybe he'll snap his ligaments, and then something like that will happen. I know it sounds like I'm being vicious here, but I really don't care anymore because Hager and Jericho are birds of a feather, and as far as I'm concerned, anybody that thinks like they do, they don't deserve human rights. So, nevertheless, Jericho and Co. Berate Ian Riccaboni, Claudio attacks, and Danielson attacks. Everybody get in here, a whole bunch of stuff. Wheeler Yuta. This feud is terrible. This feud should not be continuing. And then Renee's with Death Triangle. Phoenix wants to win, and he wants to win the All-Atlantic Championship. Pac says, take the hammer, it's your golden ticket. What wasn't a golden ticket was the next match. Cassidy versus Phoenix versus Luchasaurus. Christian Cage joins commentary. Three-way All-Atlantic Tag Team, or All-Atlantic Tag Team. Good God, they might actually come up with more Tag Team Championships, but All-Atlantic Championship, and winner gets to face their dream opponent on Rampage. Okay, that was a weird added stipulation. Big man battling two little men. It's the same as it ever was, same as it ever was. Later, Phoenix gets chokeslammed to the table. Jungle Boy attacks Luchasaurus when he's on the stage, trying to beat down Orange Cassidy. Chases away Christian Cage. Jungle Boy attacks Luchasaurus, dives through a whole bunch of tables. Right after Phoenix got put through a table. They're breaking too many goddamn tables, and Khan doesn't show some restraint. He's going to have issues. And then Pac tries to get Phoenix to use the hammer. No. And then Orange Punch, 1, 2, 3. That's it. And then Pac attacks Orange Cassidy and beats on him for a bit. And suddenly, Shibata's music plays. Okay, Shibata's here. With Rocky Romero, well, which kind of makes sense, New Japan ties, and the best friends. Shibata versus Orange Cassidy. I don't know why somebody would want to use Shibata in one of the last matches he will probably have, because yes, he's able to have a couple matches here and there, but he nearly died after Sakura Genesis. So the fact that he's walking, that he is coherent, that he's able to live, is saying something. Read up about his injuries. Not exactly the best shit. Not pleasant. Orange Cassidy's not an unsafe worker. I just don't need to see him anymore. Anyway, Shivani's with Swerve and Rick Ross. Who thought this was a good idea? I thought Rick Ross... It's a 2010, 2012. Why is Rick Ross on a wrestling program? Lee doesn't know what... Keith Lee doesn't know what to make of this. I don't know what to make of this. Let's move on. Oh boy, Marina Shafir versus Jade Cargill. Layla Gray looked fan-fucking-tastic, by the way. TBS Championship. Okay. Who thought it was a good idea to run this match back? I think that was Marina Shafir, but we still don't know her. And Nyla Rose comes out to do commentary. Unfortunately, Vicky Guerrero, and I'm just going to say it right now, I wish Vicky Guerrero had gone instead of Eddie on November 13, 2005. Because you know what? If she had, nobody would have missed Vicky Guerrero. And then she wouldn't have been putting her goddamn hoof in her goddamn mouth all the time when she talks. So I'm just going to say, I hope that something really, really terrible happens to get her out of the company. Just leave. Say something really goddamn controversial, Vicky, so you're fired, because you've got more money from wrestling than you ever fucking deserve. You goddamn atrocity. You pathetic piece of human waste. God. Man, I feel bad for Eddie putting up with her. Yeah, you know what? Maybe Eddie is in a better place. He doesn't have to be around her anymore. Anyway... So, yeah, Jade wins. This match wasn't very good. Nyla doing commentary actually would have been fine. Nyla doing commentary on her own would have been fine. Nyla's hilarious. She's hilarious on Twitter. She's hilarious on the mic. You don't have to have Vicky with her. Nyla can do her own promos. And then, but she couldn't get away, without having the baddies of, Jade, what's going on? It's late. I'm sorry if I didn't do that reference correctly. Nyla did a lot better. The House of Black are coming back, reborn or something. I don't know what the deal was. Why did they put so much money into this? Are we going House of the Dragons? What are we doing? And I only know that based on what other people are saying. But why are they burning? Why? I'm not against these guys being utilized, but I don't know. Is Julia Hart going to lead them? I'll tell you what I wasn't, I was led to. Being interested in Tony Storm versus Jamie Hayter at Full Gear. Okay. Give them about 10 to 15 minutes, they could tell a really good story. What wasn't a good story was the main event. This was the main event of a cable broadcast wrestling show in 2022. The Machine Brian Cage with Prince na 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 hey hey, and his opponent was Samoa Joe. Cage, not Prince Nana. Na 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 na. That would have been hilarious. Also would have been a short match. Ring of Honor TV Championship. Cool. I love Joe. No, I don't care. I just don't care. Cage can do some impressive shit for a guy that is on copious amounts of whatever, but I still don't care. And Joe wins with the rear naked choke. And then we get the Gates of Agony Khan with the KAU, and he looks great. Toa Leona isn't that bad. I wouldn't mind seeing these guys featured if they weren't featured in the same beatdowns and all this. Here's Wardlow, and then here's Powerhouse Hobbs that hit a spine buster, and that's it. That's it for Dynamite. I am honestly amazed sometimes that this show is still on there, because there are good talents, there are people that are really trying to make things work, but everything ends in a beatdown, ends in an aftermath, ends in ridiculousness, or begins in ridiculousness, or there's ridiculousness during the match. Or you're bringing back old people that nobody cares about, or the vast majority of people don't. Whatever. Anyway, agree, disagree, what I said. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Rickland. I'll see you soon.